Hi, my name's Terry Dortch. I'm with Automotive Risk Management Partners. I do want to talk real quick about what I've done over the last probably 6 weeks or 6+ weeks that I've been running around the country. I've been to several different states running with my consultants. We've been all over the South, Southeast, over in the East Coast, went to Nevada, Arizona. So I mean, I've been all over the country really the last probably 6 weeks. And it's given me an opportunity to talk to a lot of dealers, current customers, potential customers. We've been on several sales calls, things like that. And I've reached a conclusion that I kind of half thought anyway, but am now convinced. And that conclusion is that a lot of the dealers are spending way more money and way more time and effort on compliance than they need to be. I think what happened is a couple of years ago, we got this a little over 2 years ago that the law, I guess that the update came out, and then a year ago that it was made effective, that the effective date happened. And because of that, a lot of dealers made some really quick decisions, I think, in order to make sure that they were protected and make sure that they were doing what they were supposed to be. And in doing that, they ended up doing business with anywhere from 2 to 4 different companies to solve their compliance problems. You know, there's several competitors out there, several people that do what we do. There's one of probably 3 or 4 of us any one of us could probably do all of what you're trying to do with 3 or 4 different companies. I know we could. We could solve all your problems. Anything that you're doing with 3 or 4 companies can all be done through us. And I guess what I want to do is I want to add some clarity to all of this, because right now you've got an opportunity. You have an opportunity coming up to the end of the year where you'll have a little bit of downtime maybe, and some time to reflect and look at your expenses, look at where you're spending your money on your vendors and things like that. And I think when you look at it, you're going to see that you're spending a lot more on compliance than you need to be. And I think I think you could get it to a certain level where it's a lot more managed by a third party than something internally. And the reason I say that is because when we did this presentation, we did a presentation where we had a dealership, and that dealership was doing business with 3 different companies to solve their compliance problems. They had a very strong competitor of ours that they were paying monthly to handle OSHA, to handle their sales audit process. They had another company that is, again, a pretty good competitor in the marketplace. They were being billed by them to handle their cyber piece. Then they had another company that was doing their antivirus and doing any type of phishing simulations, things of that nature. When it was all said and done, they were almost $4,000 a month spending on these 3 companies. I'm going to tell you right now, we were able to go into that store, we were able to solve all 3 of those issues as one company, and we were able to save them $1,200 a month off their expenses. My point in all of this is that a lot of times what happens is that we pick a company that does a little bit of this, another company does a little bit of this, when in reality, if you were really to sit down and work with the companies, and this is where we differ from our competitors. If you were to sit with us and say, look, here's who we're going to sit down and analyze all of that for you. We're going to sit with you and go, okay, do you really need to spend the X number of dollars over here on this guy? Maybe you do. Maybe it's something we can't provide for you, or maybe they do a better job of it than we do. And we're going to tell you that because we're really a consulting company. We're going to sit down with you. We're trying to do what's best for the dealership. Our ultimate goal in all of this is to make sure the dealer keeps the money that he's made the last year, right? That's really what we're trying to do, is set up an affirmative defense within your dealership so that you can keep the money you've made. And the best way to do that is to really analyze who you're doing business with and how much you're spending on that. What I want to do is I want to define what the FTC is looking for in their safeguards rule real quick. And I think there was some confusion when this came out. So really the FTC, you have 2 options to solve, especially, let's just concentrate on the cyber aspects of it right now. I think the physical part of all of this, doing the physical audits, the OSHA piece, we've been doing those for years. It's something that I think everybody understands. Everybody knows that the audit that occurs and how in depth it is. But when you look at the cyber part of all of this, it's a little more difficult because there's so much more involved in it. And when I look at the cyber piece of the FTC's requirements and what they're looking for, you as a dealer have two options. One of them, which is what most of our competitors provide you, or can provide you at this point, provides you the ability to run a pen test a couple times a year. They can run a vulnerability scan 2 to 4 or 5 times a year. I'm not sure exactly. Everyone's a little different. And they give you this scanning that they do, and sometimes it's scheduled. So they'll schedule it to where it scans every 6 months, or it's scheduled to scan maybe some guys are doing it quarterly. And they'll provide these reports to you. That's one option the FTC says, but then in that option, you have to have someone that can be able to look at those reports and act on those reports. And what I mean by that, they need to be able to remediate. They need to be able to do what they need, whatever those reports are telling them, they need to be able to take action on them. So if you don't have anyone in your store that's capable of doing that, or anyone to pass that off to, option number one is not really a solution for you. Unless you're just trying to check some boxes and get by on the very, very, very bare minimum, that's option one. Now, option two, the FTC points out, that says, listen, you don't need to do vulnerability scans, you don't need to do pen testing, as long as you're doing a 24/7 monitoring and remediation afterwards. So that second option, which would require accessing a SOC, a Securities Operations Center, having 24/7 engineer monitoring it, eliminates the need for option one and allows you to progress and go to a point where there's a 24/7 monitoring service being done. Yeah, we can still produce reports at that level, and those reports can tell you what action was taken, but the bottom line is at option two, there's nothing more you need to do. You're completely compliant with anything the FTC is required, not to mention that you've even gone to the extent of remediating those. You as an organization would be completely secure as you can be in today's world at that point. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is this. Make sure before you make any decisions going into the new year that you take a look at all of this. And if you want help with it, call us. We're here to sit down and analyze it, give you the best scenario for you, and really sit down and try to figure out what's going to work best for your organization at this time. So give us a call. And again, have a great Christmas. I hope everybody enjoys the holidays. We'll see you again next year. And if you have any questions or anything, our number's here on the screen. Just give us a call. Thanks.